Every spring and autumn, something extraordinary happens on our planet. Billions of creatures rise up and move. They travel thousands of kilometers across continents and oceans, following invisible paths written into their bodies long before they were born. They are the migrants. And their journey is one of the most profound stories nature has to tell. I'm your guide through nature's most transformative moments. And today, we're following the voices that call across the sky, the stories of creatures who know no borders, who trust in a journey they've never made before, who move with a faith that most of us can barely comprehend. Welcome to the migration. Imagine standing in a marsh at the edge of dawn. The sun hasn't risen yet, but the world is already alive with sound. A single call pierces the darkness, the honk of a goose. Then another. Then another. Within moments, the sky above you is filled with wings. You watch as hundreds, thousands of geese lift off together, their silhouettes black against the lightening sky. They form a V shape as they rise, and this shape is not random. The goose at the front breaks the wind for all the others. The ones behind benefit from the air currents created by those in front. It's a perfect system of cooperation. When the lead goose tires, another takes its place. They take turns. They help each other. They understand, somehow, that they are only strong together. These geese are traveling north. Some have come from Mexico, some from Central America. They've been traveling for weeks, resting in lakes and marshes, refueling their bodies with the plants and grains they find along the way. And they will travel for weeks more until they reach their breeding grounds in the Arctic, where they will raise their young before returning south again when winter comes. But the geese are not alone. As you stand in that marsh, listening to their calls fade into the distance, you might hear other sounds, the urgent peeping of warblers, the trill of sandpipers, the calls of cranes and herons and ducks. Every bird is heading somewhere. Every bird is answering a call that comes from deep inside, from an instinct older than language. The questions that migration poses are some of the most beautiful in all of science. How do they know where to go? They've never been there before. Some are making the journey for the first time in their lives, and yet they navigate with precision that would astound any human pilot. Part of the answer is in the stars. Many birds navigate by the constellations, reading the night sky like a map. They know the positions of the stars, and they know which way they need to go to reach their destination. But it's not just the stars, they also read the sun. They sense the Earth's magnetic field. Some birds can taste the wind and tell, from the chemical composition, whether they're moving toward home or away from it. But perhaps most remarkably, they learn. Young birds travel with old birds, and they learn the route. They learn where the good feeding stops are. They learn the landmarks. They learn the pattern. And the next year, even if they travel alone, they remember. Migration is passed down like a song, from generation to generation, never written down, never forgotten. There's a warbler, the blackpoll warbler, that makes one of the most extraordinary migrations on Earth. These tiny birds, no bigger than your thumb, weigh about 12 grams, and twice a year they fly from Canada to South America. The southern route takes them over the Caribbean Sea. They fly for 3 days and 3 nights, without stopping, without resting, without food or water, over open ocean where there is nowhere to land. They navigate by the stars, by instinct, by faith. When they arrive, they have lost half their body weight, and we don't fully understand why. We don't fully understand how their tiny brains can process the navigation. We don't fully understand where the energy comes from. We only know that they do it, that they always arrive, that they make the journey year after year, generation after generation. But migration is not just about birds. It's happening all around us, in every ecosystem, in every season. Monarch butterflies leave Canada and Mexico, heading to the same forests in California and Mexico where they've never been before, guided by the sun and an internal compass. Whales swim from the Arctic to the tropics and back again, covering distances that equal the circumference of Earth several times over in their lifetimes. Wildebeest pour across the African plains in groups of 2 million, following the rains, following the grass, in a cycle that's been repeating for millennia. Fish move through the oceans in migrations so vast and so coordinated that they alter the very chemistry of the water. They move nutrients from one ecosystem to another, feeding the creatures that depend on them, shaping entire ocean systems through their movement. Insects migrate too. Dragonflies travel from Canada to Central America and back, a journey that takes 3 generations. The first generation migrates south. They breed, their offspring breed. And then the third generation, which has never seen the place their great-grandparents came from, somehow knows how to find it and returns. How is this possible? How is this knowledge encoded in their bodies? How does a creature that lives for only a few months know a path that takes 3 generations to complete? The honest answer is, we don't fully know, and that's okay. Some of nature's greatest mysteries are still mysteries. Some of the deepest magic in the world is still magical, still holding us in wonder. But what we do know is this: migration is an act of faith. It's a surrender to something larger than yourself. The birds don't question whether the journey is worth it. They don't doubt whether they'll make it. They don't create backup plans or look for easier routes. They simply know, in their bones, in their blood, in every cell of their bodies, that they must go. And they go. They go despite the dangers. Millions of birds die during migration. They collide with buildings. They're shot by hunters. They starve. They get lost. Predators wait for them at the feeding stops and take their share. And yet, every spring and autumn, the survivors rise up and make the journey again. What does it feel like, do you think? What does a small warbler feel when it's been flying for 18 hours over open ocean, with no land in sight, with no rest, with the strength draining from its body? Does it feel fear? Does it feel exhilaration? Does it feel anything at all? Or is it purely driven by instinct, by an ancient programming that overrides everything else? We can only imagine. But when you stand on a beach during migration season and watch the birds arriving from across the ocean, exhausted and desperate for food and rest, you understand that they've given everything, that they've trusted in something larger than themselves, that they've made a leap of faith that most humans will never make. And here's what's remarkable. Migration is becoming harder. The world is changing. Wetlands are being drained. Stopover sites where birds rest and refuel are disappearing. Climate change is altering the timing of seasons, so that birds arrive at their breeding grounds to find that the food they depend on hasn't emerged yet. Light pollution from cities disorients the birds. Power lines kill millions every year. And yet the migrations continue. The birds still come. The whales still swim. The butterflies still fly. They adapt. They find new routes. Some populations are declining, and that's tragic. Some species are disappearing, but others adjust. They find new stopover sites. They shift their timing. They are resilient in ways that humble us. There's a lesson in that. There's a profound teaching in watching creatures continue their ancient journeys despite every obstacle, despite the degradation of their world, despite the loss of the places they depend on. They don't give up. They don't choose the easier path. They keep moving. They keep trusting. They keep believing that home is worth the struggle, even when the world makes it harder every year. If you ever get a chance to witness migration, do it. Stand on a beach where birds are arriving from across the ocean. Sit in a marsh and listen to the geese call to each other. Watch the monarch butterflies congregate in the trees, thousands of them, preparing for their impossible journey. Drive through the African savanna and see the wildebeest moving in their great herds. Dive into the ocean and watch the fish moving through the currents like rivers of living silver. And when you do, listen. Listen to the voices of the migration. Not just with your ears, but with your whole self. Listen to what the birds are calling to each other. Listen to the wisdom they're speaking. Listen to the story they're telling. Because migration is a story about faith. It's a story about the kind of trust that doesn't question. It's a story about making a journey that's never been made before, guided by something you can't see, toward a place you've never been, without any guarantee that you'll make it. But you go anyway, because you must. Because something deep inside you knows that home is worth it, that the journey is worth it, that life is worth it. And maybe, when we listen to the voices of the migration, we hear something we need to remember. We live in a world of borders and walls, of staying in place, of trying to control our surroundings and predict our futures. But the migrants teach us something different. They teach us that life is movement, that growth requires journey, that sometimes the most important thing you can do is leave everything behind and trust in a direction, guided by instinct and faith and something deeper than reason. The migration is happening right now. Even as you listen to this, somewhere a bird is rising into the sky. Somewhere a whale is beginning the long swim toward warmer waters. Somewhere a butterfly is beginning to move, guided by the sun, toward a forest it's never seen. They are all on their journeys. They are all heading home. And they are all teaching us, if we know how to listen, about courage, about persistence, about the transformative power of taking a leap of faith and trusting that you'll find your way. Thank you for traveling with me through the voices of the migration, for listening to the calls of creatures crossing continents and oceans, for understanding, perhaps a little better, what it means to answer a call that comes from deep within, to trust in a journey that you've never made, to move toward home even when the path is unclear. If the migration stirred something in you today, if you felt the pull of something ancient and vast, come back. There are more journeys to follow, more voices to hear, more stories of transformation waiting. And if you can, go outside. Listen for the migrants. Look for them in the sky, in the water, in the grass. They're all around us, all the time, making their journeys, singing their songs, teaching us what it means to truly live. May you find the courage to answer your own inner calling. May you trust in the journey, even when the destination isn't clear. And may you always remember that you too are a migrant moving through this world, guided by something deeper than reason, heading towards something that feels like home. Until next time, may the voices of the migration guide you where you need to go.